There could be over 1,000, over 1,500 people dead from this fire in Hawaii. That in the first instance was caused by an electrical power line. Yet electric is supposed to be our future. Not part of it, all of it. How many fires are caused by, or deaths are caused by, drilling for oil, gasoline, and transmitting that through pipelines, Mr. Producer? I can't think of many, if any. Because natural gas and oil are not only plentiful, they're the safest sources of energy that we have. And so I'm just telling you now, there's going to be all this finger pointing. Well, the utility didn't do what it was supposed to do. Well, the utility said it was focused on green energy. It's moving in that direction. And so that's where it was putting its resources. Look, I don't know who's telling the truth. Doesn't much matter. People are dead. And I want to circle back to this later. But you look at what's happening off the shore of Atlantic City, the Jersey coast, with these massive windmills. The death, the degradation of the environment, the whales. God knows what else. You know, we have sure, cheap, plentiful, safe, and yes, environmentally friendly natural gas and oil. We're putting those companies out of business. We are reducing the amount of supply. We're eliminating future efforts to discover more supply. We are ceding the entire industry to our enemies, the communist Chinese. And in order to camouflage all of this wrong-headedness, we just use the phrase climate change. Climate change. That's it, climate change. Which takes me to the bigger issue. I watched Bill Barr for about 30 minutes being interviewed by Neil Cavuto this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern and thereafter. And actually, I thought Neil did a pretty good job questioning him. Gave him a lot of time. That's where I disagree with Neil and others. Why? Why? Bill Barr is invited on programs and on networks. They used to hate his guts. Now they can't schedule him enough. Same with Chris Christie. Chris Christie spends an enormous amount of time on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. Well, that's because he goes where he's hated. That's not why at all. He's not hated there anymore. They love him. What's the greatest threat to America? I'm asking you folks this. What's the greatest threat to America? Joe Biden, the American Marxist movements, the Democrat Party, and what they've done to our country? Or Donald Trump? Bill Barr says he can't tell. He doesn't know. He'll jump off that bridge when he gets to it. He's also a plagiarist in that respect, but we'll move on from that. So for Bill Barr, the call is too close to make. Chris Christie, the call's too close to make. Mitch McConnell, he prefers Biden over Trump. Peggy Noonan, she prefers Biden over Trump. This is why Republicans always lose to Democrats, and I don't mean politically. I mean the culture. I mean the rule of law. I mean our society. Because if it wasn't Trump, it would be DeSantis. And it wasn't one of them, it would be one of the others. They're very comfortable, they say, with Chris Christie. Chris Christie is a rhino. both physically and otherwise. He's a rhino. People are leaving New Jersey, not because of the Democrat governor, because of Republican and Democrat governors. He didn't do anything effective there, financially, culturally, in any way. He's a safe Republican. And the Democrat TV networks love the guy. He didn't used to, but he dances and sings for their support. Bill Barr, they were going to impeach him. They can't get enough of him. Even my brothers and sisters of my favorite cable network, certainly in the news department, they can't get enough of him. And by the way, they can't get enough of Vivek Ramaswamy either. And on a footnote there, why is that? Why is he being pushed so hard? More on that later. Mortgage rates are at a 21-year high, and they're going higher. Interest rates are going higher. The cost of food, 9 out of 10 Americans are saying, is prohibitive. The cost of gasoline, 9 out of 10 Americans are saying, is prohibitive. Utility bills, over 8 out of 10 Americans say it's prohibitive. In other words, Americans are struggling. Nobody walks through a city street when the sun has gone down, regardless of your race, in any major city in America anymore. Nobody. Because you put your life on the line. You may not make it. People are afraid of taking public transportation in every major city in America. The cops have been undermined. The schools are indoctrination mills for the most perverse and grotesque ideology ever embraced even by a fraction of a percentage of the American people. Our economic system's under assault. We have the worst debt in American history. We have a deficit each year, which is unbelievable, unimaginable. We're destroying our economy from within. We're not building up the military to confront what is clearly communist China and their move to dominate the world economically and militarily. They just stole an island that's disputed from Vietnam and Taiwan. They're building an air base on it right now, as I speak. As they've built a spy facility in Cuba. What are we doing about it? Absolutely nothing. This administration, the Democrats, just gave $6 billion to the Iranian regime, which is a genocidal regime that slaughters young people who protest against it, rape them in these Stalinist-like prisons, are giving thousands and thousands of drones to the Russians to murder Ukrainian citizens, and are building nuclear warheads to put on their ICBMs. And Biden just gave them $6 billion. The worst censorship in American history didn't happen under Woodrow Wilson. It's happened under Joe Biden. Federal judge said so and spelled it out, chapter and verse. A circuit court panel said the same thing. They've spelled it out, chapter and verse. A clear violation of the First Amendment. When the United States government, the Biden administration, and its various departments are pressuring Twitter, before Elon Musk came to the rescue, to interfere in our elections, to censor scientific information, to punish their political opponents, and all the rest. We have the FBI and the Department of Justice that have gone after parents. We have the FBI and the Department of Justice that have gone after peaceful pro-life protesters. We have the FBI and the Department of Justice that have gone after the Catholic Church. And they're starting to go after Orthodox Jews. We have a president of the United States who defies every immigration law on the books. And the worst mayhem we've ever seen with illegal immigration, where even Democrat mayors and their phony sanctuary cities are overwhelmed, begging their president to do something about it, and he won't do a damn thing. Because this is part of the process. This is what he wants to do. We have women being raped and sold into sex trafficking, as well as children, on the southern border. We have the drug cartels pouring over the border. Every major city in America, in all 50 states, now has drug cartel operations taking place. MS-13 coming across the border. Fentanyl coming across the border. Illegal weapons coming across the border. We don't have time to really figure out exactly the consequences of all this, but it's immense. From today on in this country, it's immense. And Bill Barr can't decide who he would vote for if the nominee is Trump or Biden. Chris Christie can't decide who he'd vote for if the nominee is Trump or Biden. Mitch McConnell's already decided he's going to support Biden, no question about it, over Trump. The usual operatives of the Rhino State, the Karl Rove, the Bush sycophants, all the knives are out. All the saboteurs are doing everything they can. Everything they can. And they're going to succeed if they keep it up. They will persuade 10, 15, 20, 30% of the Republican Party to vote, perhaps, for a third party or even Biden. When you look at the real conservatives, Bill Barr is no conservative. He doesn't have any conservative credentials. He shows up at Federalist Society meetings, mostly to eat the Danish. When you listen to Newt Gingrich, when you listen to Victor Davis Hanson, when you listen to former U.S. attorneys, Brent Tolman, so many others, former special counsel, Saul Weissman, deputy special counsel. When you listen beyond certain of the legal analysts who the newsers go to left and right because they seem to be so impartial. Now is not a time for impartiality. We're in the middle of a revolution. I laid out the bare facts just now. The country's being destroyed. We live in a post-constitutional period where people have to fear for their liberty when they speak out, when they organize, when they purchase weapons, and they're law-abiding citizens. They have to fear for their liberty. They have to fear from a growing centralized police state under the command of the Democrat Party. And Bill Barr can't decide who he'd vote for.